Ukraine says its troops have taken back more than 3,000 kilometres of the country's east in a rapid counter-offensive in Russia's war. Swedes are heading to the polls, voting in legislative elections where the incumbent Social Democrats are neck to neck with a right-wing bloc.
The Queen's coffin leaves Balmoral to go to Holyrood Palace in the Scottish capital, where big crowds are expected to pay their last respects to the late monarch.
Ceremonies in the United States are remembering the nearly 3,000 victims of the September 11th terrorist attacks that took place 21 years ago.
This is the moment Ukraine liberated the town of Chkalovsk in the Kharkiv region. The blue and yellow battles the winds, a sign the Russians are out. President Volodymyr Zelensky has promised this image in every occupied city and town. Ukraine's military says its forces have reclaimed more than 3,000 square kilometres during a rapid counter-offensive in the country's east. These new images show Ukraine troops now entering the city of Izum, a major base for Russian forces in the Kharkiv region. If confirmed, that means Kyiv has tripled their stated gains in a little more than 48 hours. A Washington-based think tank says forces have recaptured more territory in 5 days than Russians have conquered since April.
The enemy continues to suffer losses. In the Kharkiv sector, enemy units of the 3rd Motorized Rifle Division of the 20th Combined Arms Army were left without supply routes. The personnel is in a panic.
Russia's defense ministry says troops have retreated from Izum to allow forces to regroup in territory held by Moscow-backed separatists. It also confirmed withdrawal from other key towns to so-called bolster efforts on the Donetsk front. There, Russian bombs have been raining down on the city of Pokrovsk. At least 10 people have been killed in overnight shelling in the region, 6 in this town alone. The industrial centre, about 40 kilometres from the front line, had been hit in May and July, but never before by so many in one night.
The last operational reactor at Ukraine's Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant has come to a grinding halt. Engineers shut down Power Unit 6 to avoid a radiation catastrophe as Europe's largest atomic site reconnects with Ukraine's electricity grid. This comes as the plant's reactors were purposely detached from their outside source of power a week ago after heavy shelling. IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi has called for a safe zone to be created around the plant to avoid a potential disaster. On the 29th of August, he led a team of experts to Zaporizhzhia in a bid to establish a permanent IAEA presence on the site. The plant has been occupied by Russian forces since the early days of the war.
Swedes have hit the polls early Sunday morning for a legislative election that will either pave the way for an unprecedented right-wing government or a third straight mandate for the ruling Social Democrats. Analysts are predicting a close race with a razor-thin lead for Prime Minister Magdalena Andersson and the Left Bloc, following a campaign dominated by rising gang shootings and soaring electricity prices. This year, the rise of the far-right Sweden Democrats, with their roots in white nationalism and fascism, are challenging the established order in the country. The main rival for the Social Democrat Prime Minister is moderates leader Ulf Kristersson, who sees himself as the only person who can unite the right and unseat her. Uncertainty looms large over the election, with both blocs facing long and hard negotiations to form a government in a polarised and emotionally charged political landscape. Voting will close at 8 p.m. local time.
The Queen's coffin is on its penultimate journey. Leaving Balmoral, where she spent her last moments, the late monarch's body is being taken to the Scottish capital to the throne room of Holyrood Palace, the country's official royal residence. She will lay there until Monday afternoon before being moved to London. With the cortege, it is expected to take 6 hours before she will arrive in Edinburgh. This time will give the public the chance to line the roads to pay their last respects. And big crowds are anticipated because, like the Queen, who had a special place for Scotland in her heart, so too does the Scottish public for her.
As Australia formally proclaims its new monarch, Britain's King Charles III, the death of Queen Elizabeth II has reignited the Republican debate. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has been previously vocal about wanting the country to have an Australian head of state, but he says not right now.
Well, my views on that, of course, are well known and well documented, but now's not a time to talk about our system of government. Now is a time for us to pay tribute to the life of Queen Elizabeth, a life well lived. So also today we will be, of course, commemorating the proclamation of King Charles III as Australia's head of state. That's the system of government that we have. It's one which, as Australian Prime Minister, I have a responsibility to respect.
God save the King! New Zealand has also officially recognised its new king. The faraway nations are two of just 15 Commonwealth countries where the monarch is still head of state.
A bell and a moment of silence to mark the 21st anniversary of the September 11 terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center's Twin Towers in New York. The observers of the commemoration include Vice President Kamala Harris, who did not speak at the event as per tradition. Instead, the families of some of the victims read out the names of the dead.
Sabir Ahmed.
The anniversary comes around a year after the U.S. pulled out of Afghanistan, which the country first invaded in response to the attacks. September 11th, which killed nearly 3,000 people, spurred a war on terror that had ripple effects to this day, including a rise in hate crimes against Muslims and a debate about the balance between civil liberties and safety. U.S. President Joe Biden attended a ceremony at the Pentagon, another site of the attacks during that fateful day.
208. That's the number of people migrant rescue organisation SOS Humanity says it has rescued from the Mediterranean Sea in recent days. On Saturday, the NGO's Humanity One vessel came to the aid of 25 people in a dinghy after the EU's border agency Frontex put out an urgent distress call. SOS Humanity says that in the last year, on average, one person is drowned in the Mediterranean every 6 hours. This comes as migrants continue to land on the arid Italian island of Lampedusa, some 180 kilometres from Tunisia's coast, in hope of starting a new life in Europe. Border police say migrant centres on the island are under strain and overcrowded. A total of 231 people reached Lampedusa's shores on Friday, while another 115 people landed Saturday night. According to the International Organization for Migration, at least 1,283 people have either died or gone missing in an attempt to cross the Mediterranean this year.
All the beauty and the bloodshed.
In a rare triumph for non-fiction cinema at a major film festival, American documentary maker Laura Poitras has taken the Golden Lion for Best Film in Venice. The epic documentary explores the life of photographer and activist Nan Goldin, told through her slideshows, intimate interviews and rare footage of her personal fight to hold the Sackler family accountable for the opioid crisis. Australian darling Cate Blanchett won Best Actress at the film festival for a second time on Saturday. She won in 2007 for her gender-bending performance as Bob Dylan in I'm Not There. This time, the 54-year-old won for her complex and challenging role in Tar, as the first female conductor of a German orchestra.
To present the Coppa Volpi for Best Actor to Colin Farrell for
the Irish superstar made a video appearance to accept the win for his performance in The Banshees of Inisherin. Set on a remote island in west of Ireland, he stars alongside old friend Brendan Gleeson.
And if you don't stop bothering me,
as two friends who fall out while the civil war rumbles on the mainland.
And I'll take one of my fingers off with them.
Taking the pitch-black humour of their much-loved hit film In Bruges to even darker, stranger places. And there was an empty seat at the Venice Film Festival for imprisoned Iranian director Jafar Panahi, who received a special jury prize for No Bears.